I couldn't understand how it all happened. All I wanted was a happy life with Eliza. She was my light in the dark, my support and love. The first time I saw her, I knew I had found my destiny. Eliza was beautiful, intelligent, and kind. But now, when I look at my life, I understand that I destroyed all this with my own hands. Eliza was always joyful, despite the difficulties. She helped me through difficult times and always believed in me. Now I stand in front of the mirror, watching the reflection of my own betrayal. I see in my eyes how I betrayed her trust and love. It started so innocently. I just wanted to have some fun, to break away from the routine. But it quickly got out of control. I met Mary by chance. She was very attractive and charming. We started talking and I allowed myself to fall into this illusion. Mary became my escape from reality. I wandered in her world where there were no duties and responsibilities. I believed I could have anything I wanted without consequence. I didn't think about Eliza, how it would hurt her. Every day I spent with Mary felt more and more guilty. I saw how Eliza suffers from my absence, how her joy and light are gradually extinguished. But I was already too deeply imprisoned to stop. Eliza noticed my alienation. She asked if something was wrong, but I brushed it off, not wanting to discuss it. I lie to her, but the guilt is eating away at me more and more. Mary has become more important to me than I could have imagined. Our meetings became more frequent, and I knew that this would not last forever. I felt that my story with Mary was coming to an end, but I could not stop. One day, when I came home, I found Eliza sitting in our living room with a soft expression on her face. She knew I was hiding something. I could feel my soul gradually falling apart. In the evenings, when I returned home, I could not help but notice how Eliza's facial features had faded, how her laughter had become rare. I knew I was to blame for all of this. I destroyed what was once real and valuable. Every day my heart was filled with more and more regret. I could see how Eliza was trying to keep our relationship alive, even though I had long since stopped doing so. I noticed how her tears become a part of our everyday life. Eliza has always been my best friend. When I first learned about her illness, I promised to be there no matter what. Now I look at her haggard face and realize that I broke that promise. My relationship with Mary filled me with such emptiness that I could no longer feel the pain I was causing Eliza. My heart breaks from what I see. She tries to be strong even when I know she's having a hard time. Eliza writes me letters trying to explain her feelings, but I can't find the strength to answer honestly. I'm afraid to confess my betrayal, although every day I feel how it tears my soul. One day when I returned home, I found Eliza sitting in the kitchen staring straight into an empty coffee cup. Her eyes were red with tears. She knew something was wrong, but I lied to her over and over that everything was fine. I hear her question, "What happened to us?" and feel my heart breaking with guilt. Mary began to notice that something was wrong in our relationship. She became more aggressive and demanding. I knew I couldn't go on like this, but every time I tried to end the relationship, something held me back. I couldn't let go of Mary, but I couldn't be real with Eliza either. The moment I decided to tell Eliza the truth, I heard her crying in the next room. I was standing in front of the door and heard her begging God for help. Her screams pierced my soul, but I could not take the first step. I was afraid of her reaction and even more afraid of losing her forever. Gradually, everything began to fall apart. Mary found out about my lies and became even more aggressive. She tried to control my every step, my every movement. I realized that every day I was betraying not only Eliza, but also myself. My life was a mess and I couldn't find a way out. Every time I tried to be with Mary, I felt more destroyed. My attempts to get back at Eliza became more and more pathetic. I tried to correct my mistakes, but I realized that it was too late. I broke something that couldn't be fixed. Eliza learned the truth. I knew this moment was coming, but I wasn't prepared for the pain I felt when she first told me. She just stared at me in silence, her eyes full of disappointment and sadness. I saw in them the imprint of all my betrayals and mistakes. I couldn't believe what happened. Eliza left me. She packed her things and left, leaving behind an empty apartment and a heart filled with regret. I tried to stop her, but each step I took seemed even more pathetic than the last. My world collapsed. I was left alone, with Mary, who turned out not to be what I imagined. I realized that I had lost everything that was dear to me. I missed Eliza and all the moments we spent together. I tried to go back to her, but I knew it was impossible. If you want a continuation or more detailed moments, let me know. Maybe there are some specific elements you want to add to the story. Eliza left the apartment, but her presence remained everywhere. I woke up in the middle of the night and smelled her scent, sensitively felt her absence. I tried to find a way to fix the situation, but any attempt seemed futile. My evenings were spent in confusion, guilt haunted me at every step. Mary became tougher and critical, her behavior turned into constant pressure. She did not leave me a moment of peace, constantly reminding me of my mistakes. I began to feel that this new part of my life only made my situation worse. I wanted to escape, but I couldn't find a way out. I decided to visit the places where Eliza and I spent time together. I went out to the beach where we first met and sat down on the sand. Here I remembered our conversations, laughter, and the warmth of her hands. I cried as I felt my heart break from the memories. I lost not only my wife, but also the best part of me. Eliza moved in with her mother. I found this out through mutual friends, but when I tried to contact her, she didn't answer. My attempt to apologize and explain my actions was futile. I understood that my betrayal had left a deep mark in her heart, and any attempts to correct the situation were too late. After a few months of being alone, I felt myself falling apart more and more. Mary continued to manipulate me, and I was helpless. She knew how to hit my weak points and used it against me. I lived in constant fear and frustration, trying to find a way to escape this chaos. One night, as I sat alone in the dark, I found some old letters that Eliza had written. I read each line and felt my sadness turn into painful despair. I remembered over and over how she said we would always be together. Now I understood that all those words were empty, and only I was to blame for this. Mary suddenly announced her decision to leave me. I was both devastated and relieved. On the one hand, I was losing another part of my life, and on the other hand, I no longer had to live in constant struggle and suffering. When she left, I felt all my strength leave me. I saw a therapist hoping to find solace. We talked about my feelings of guilt and fear, but even professional help could not restore what I had destroyed. I realized that my decisions and actions led to the destruction of everything that was dear to me. Eliza started a new life. I learned this from the news. She found a new job and seemed to be happy. I felt a deep regret for not being able to be a part of her new life. I watched her progress through social media, and every time I saw her smile, my pain deepened. A year has passed, but the wounds have not healed. I was left alone, without a job and without meaning in life. I realized that even if I could go back to Eliza, my life was already ruined. I tried to fill the void with different things, but nothing could bring me back the times when I was happy. This chapter tries to convey deep emotions and real consequences of betrayal. I can continue or change the story at your request. Left alone, I tried to return to work, but my mind was constantly filled with memories of Eliza and my mistakes. I couldn't concentrate on anything, and every day seemed like a battle with my own conscience. My colleagues noticed my depression and asked what was wrong, but I just smiled and waved it off. I tried to arrange my life, but I could not find a new meaning. The attitude towards people has become cold and detached. I could not give love or support to others because I was still immersed in my own pain. I was haunted by guilt, and I didn't know how to get rid of it. One day I met an old friend who asked me why I looked so sad. I began to tell him my story, and his words were like a cold shower to me. He said, "You chose this path yourself, now you have to live with it." His words hit me like a hammer over the head, and I felt my inner wounds open up even more. I found old photos and started going through them, remembering the good times. Each photo was like a bigger wound on my heart, and I couldn't stop the tears. I saw Eliza's smiles and our happy moments, and I realized that I had destroyed all this myself. Eliza did not respond to my attempts to contact her. I wrote her a letter, tried to explain why I did that and how sorry I am, but no answer. I tried to find her new place of residence, but every attempt ended in failure. I was hopelessly lost. Mary came back for a while, but she wasn't the woman I once knew. She only came to tell me how I hurt her. Her words were like a stab and made me feel even worse. She walked away, leaving me even more sad. I started abusing alcohol in an attempt to drown out my feelings. This only made the situation worse. I became increasingly isolated. My relationships with friends and family deteriorated. My life turned into an endless night where I just wandered aimlessly. I decided to go to therapy to find a way to deal with my pain. I started talking to a therapist about my fears and anxieties, but even that didn't bring much relief. I felt that my soul was too damaged to be healed. One day, during one of the sessions, I learned about a new project that Elisa had started. She created a charitable organization to help people in difficult life situations. I felt proud and at the same time extremely guilty for not being there when she needed it. I started looking for a way to find a new purpose in life. However, the pain of losing Eliza was so strong that no new business could lessen it. I felt like everything I was doing was just trying to fill the void but couldn't bring back what I had lost. I continued to look through old records and photos, trying to find something that would help me understand how I could have been so wrong. I found videos where we laugh together and enjoy life. It was like a punch to the heart. Every frame reminded me of what I had lost. My attempt to find a new relationship ended in failure. I met new people, but no one could fill the void that Eliza had left. I began to understand that my pain and guilt for betraying her had become a part of my life that I had to learn to live with. I visited the places where Eliza and I used to walk together. Streets, parks, restaurants, all these became symbols of loss for me. I sat in the same places where we laughed and felt my heart break with memories of happy times. I decided to write a book about my experience, hoping that it would help others avoid my mistakes. It was my way of repenting and trying to find some meaning in what had happened. But even in the process of writing, I felt that words could not convey the depth of my pain. The book was finished and I decided to publish it. It became a kind of confession of my guilt and an attempt to explain what I experienced. I hoped this would help others understand the importance of keeping what you have before it's too late. After the publication of the book, I received a lot of feedback. Some people expressed sympathy, others criticized me for allowing myself to betray like that. I accepted all feedback because I knew I deserved it. My goal was not to make excuses, but simply to share my experience. Eliza seems to have known about my book but never contacted me. I continued to live in my despair and pain, hoping that somehow I could find inner peace. My life was like an endless cycle of self-flagellation and trying to find peace. I tried new hobbies, tried to find something to distract me from my thoughts. I played sports, wrote poems, tried different types of creativity, but none of these activities could fill the void that remained in my heart. My attempts to find new love were also unsuccessful. I met people, but I could not let them into my heart because I constantly compared them to Eliza. This only deepened my loneliness and guilt. My psychologist advised me to focus on self-improvement and self-acceptance. I started meditating and practicing mindfulness, trying to find inner peace. While this helped reduce my stress somewhat, the sense of loss and guilt stayed with me. Continuing this story to 100 parts will take a long time and will require considerable effort to convey deep emotions and details. If you want me to continue in the same style or focus on specific aspects, let me know. The days passed and I became more and more immersed in the memories of Eliza. I realized that I had lost not only my wife but also my best friend, a person who understood me better than I knew myself. Everything in the house reminded me of her, and I felt my heart grow heavier every day. One day I happened to find a box of things that had once belonged to Eliza. Inside were her favorite books, some old letters and photo cards. I took out each item and held it in my hands, trying to relive the closeness we had. But instead, I felt only an even greater emptiness. I started wearing one of her old sweaters, trying to somehow feel her around. It was a strange way of comforting, but it seemed to me that this way I could bring her back into my life, if only for a moment. Every time I put on this sweater, I remembered how she would hug me in it on cold evenings. After another sleepless night, I realized that my pain would not go away until I tried to do something meaningful for Eliza. I decided to create a foundation in her honor to support young women who have gone through similar challenges in life. It was my way of atonement and leaving something good in the world. The foundation gained popularity faster than I expected. People started getting involved, supporting and sharing their stories. I received letters from women who had gone through betrayal, heartbreak, and loss, and the letters made me cry. I understood that my pain was only part of a bigger picture where many people were also suffering. Starting the foundation gave me a new purpose in life, but at the same time, it reminded me of what I had lost. Every success of the foundation was a reminder to me that I failed to be there for Eliza when she needed it most. It was my constant companion, the bitter taste of an irreparable mistake. One of the letters I received from supporters of the foundation had a story very similar to mine. The woman told how her husband cheated on her and how she tried to find meaning in life again after the breakup. Her words were like a reflection of my inner world, and I felt that I was not alone in my pain. I wrote a letter to that woman, thanking her for her openness and support. We started talking and sharing our thoughts and feelings. It was strange, but her story helped me see myself in a different light. Her pain mirrored my own, and our conversation became a lifeline for me. Our conversations became regular, but every time we spoke, I felt something was wrong. I tried to find some comfort in these conversations, but at the end of each conversation, I still returned to my thoughts about Eliza. Her image remained in my heart, and I understood that no one could replace it. The woman I spoke with also understood that I was still attached to the past. She wrote me a letter saying that while our communication was valuable, we both needed to find our own path to healing. Her words were wise and painful at the same time, and I felt another opportunity slipping away from me. I was left alone with my thoughts. My foundation continued to do well, but I felt that it only delayed my inevitable realization that my life was empty. All my attempts to find a new meaning seemed futile because I still couldn't let go of the past. One day, when I was going through old photos again, I found a letter I had once written to Eliza but never sent. In it, I tried to explain my feelings, my fear of the future, and my weakness. I read it and realized that this letter was my last cry from my soul to her. I decided to send this letter, even though I knew it was pointless. But for me, it was like a final act of penance, an attempt to show that I finally understood my mistakes. I didn't expect an answer, and I wasn't even sure if she would even read it. But that was my goodbye. A few weeks later, I got a reply. It was a short and concise letter from Eliza. She wrote that she had read my letter and that she understood why I decided to write it. But she also added that for her, it is already in the past, and that she does not want to go back to those days. Eliza's response was the ultimate breaking point for me. I realized that there was no way to get back what we had. She went on with her life without me, and I had to do the same. But my heart was still with her, and I didn't know how to learn to live without this pain again. I tried to focus on my work at the foundation, but even that didn't bring me the satisfaction it used to. I realized that my life had become meaningless. Everything I tried to do was just an attempt to escape from myself and from the emptiness that was left after the loss of Eliza. Once, during one of the meetings with the fund's participants, I heard the story of a woman who lost everything after her husband's betrayal. Her story was so similar to mine that I couldn't hold back the tears. I realized that all these people come to me because their stories are a mirror of my own mistakes. I decided to visit the place where Eliza and I first met. It was a small cafe by the sea where we met by chance. I sat at the same table where we once drank coffee and tried to imagine that she might appear again. But instead, I felt only deep loneliness. The cafe was almost empty, and I felt that time had stopped here. Everything remained the same as it was when we were together. I ordered the same coffee we were drinking and tried to find peace in these memories, but they only reminded me of what I had lost. I came home feeling like I no longer had a place in this world. My home, once warm and cozy, now seemed empty, and I returned home, but the comfort and warmth I once felt was gone. A terrifying feeling of emptiness reigned in every corner. Every room reminded of Eliza, her laugh, her voice. Even the sound of her footsteps seemed to echo in the silence of the house like a phantom haunting me. I couldn't sleep in our bed anymore. It became cold, alien. I tried to lie down on the sofa in the living room, but every sound outside the window brought me back to the past. One morning, I woke up from a dream in which Eliza and I were together. It was such a vivid and real dream that I believed for a moment that she was really here, next to me. But when I opened my eyes, reality hit me with a new force. The feeling of loss became unbearable. I decided to change my environment, hoping it would help me deal with the pain. I changed the furniture in the house, painted the walls in different colors, but no changes could erase the memories that lived in every corner of this place. Eliza was everywhere, although she left this house forever. One evening, I went for a walk, trying to find some comfort in the fresh air. I walked the streets of our city where we spent so much time together. Every street, every park reminded us of our love, which was now broken. I could no longer find joy in these places. During the walk, I met an old friend of Eliza's who seemed to know everything that had happened. She looked at me with sadness and sympathy, and we spent a few minutes talking. Her words were simple, but they opened my eyes to the fact that Eliza is moving on with her life without me, that she has found a way to recover. After that meeting, I realized that my life was stuck in the past. I was tied to memories that prevented me from moving forward. I knew it was time to try and let it all go, but I had no idea how to do it. A feeling of helplessness gripped me. I began to seek help in spiritual practices, hoping that they would help me find inner peace. I attended various seminars, read books, meditated, but it only temporarily eased my pain. Every time I returned home, the memories of Eliza captured me again. I started keeping a diary where I wrote down all my thoughts and feelings. It was my way of trying to understand myself and my emotions. Each record was a cry of the soul, an attempt to find answers to the questions that tormented me. But even a diary could not help me get rid of the pain. My days became similar to each other. Work that once brought me pleasure has become a burden. I worked automatically without any inspiration. Colleagues noticed that I had changed, but I avoided talking about it. They couldn't understand what I was feeling, and I didn't want to share my pain with anyone. I started losing weight, and my friends started worrying about me. They tried to support me, invited me to parties, outings, but I felt that I no longer had the energy for it. My world became gray and joyless, and I could not find the strength to change anything. One evening, I decided to write another letter to Eliza. I didn't expect an answer, but I wanted to express my feelings again. I wrote about how sorry I am, how much I love her, and how she changed my life. It was a last act of desperation, my attempt to tell her all that remained unsaid. The letter went unanswered, but it didn't matter to me. I felt it was my way of saying goodbye to the past. But even after that, I didn't feel any relief. The feeling of loss was too strong, and I realized that this pain would stay with me forever. I started thinking about moving to another city, hoping that a change of scenery would help me find a fresh start. But even this idea seemed useless to me. I realized that it doesn't matter where I am because my memories and pain will follow me everywhere. My life turned into existence. I just lived each day, feeling neither joy nor sadness. My soul was empty, and I did not know how to return to life. Even my friends began to distance themselves from me because I could no longer be the person I was before. One day, I decided to watch our old family videos. It was a terrible idea, but I couldn't stop. I watched us celebrate holidays together, laugh and hug. Each moment was permeated with the love I once felt, and each of those moments became a sharp knife in my heart. I found a video of our wedding. It was something special, the day when we promised each other loyalty and love for life. I saw her smile, her eyes shining with happiness. But I also saw myself, the man who later betrayed all those promises. This contrast was unbearable. After watching these videos, I realized that I can't stay in this house anymore. It became a symbol of my failure, a place where everything reminded me of my mistakes. I decided to sell the house and move, trying to find a new start somewhere else. The process of selling the house was painful. Every time potential buyers came, I felt a piece of my past disappear. It was a difficult process, but I knew I couldn't stay here any longer. I wanted to escape from all these memories, even if it meant losing my last connection to the past. I found a new house in a small town, far from where Eliza and I lived. It was a calm, quiet place where I could try to start over. But even here, in the new house, I felt the presence of the past. Eliza remained with me in every thought, in every dream. I tried to arrange the new house so that it would be completely different from the one where Eliza and I lived. New furniture, different style, even different wall colors. But as soon as I finished the setup, I felt that something important had been lost with these changes. All these things that surrounded me were empty, soulless. The new home seemed strange and cold. Nothing here mattered because there were no memories in it. This, on the one hand, was what I wanted, but on the other hand, I suddenly realized that memories, even painful ones, were the only thing that kept me going. Without them, I was left alone. I began to spend my days in absolute silence, trying to find inner peace. But this silence only increased my sense of isolation. Every sound seemed too loud, every thought too painful. I felt as if I had lost touch with the world and no longer knew how to restore it. One evening, I decided to reread the journal I kept after our breakup. Each record was a testimony of my struggle, my attempt to understand myself and my guilt. Reading these pages reminded me of how hard I tried to find a way to atone for my mistakes. I started writing in my journal again, trying to find some solace in words. But with each new record, I felt like I couldn't express what I was feeling anymore. Words seemed empty. They could no longer convey the depth of pain I carried inside me. My health began to deteriorate. Constant stress and lack of sleep made themselves felt. I became even more withdrawn, avoiding any contact with other people. The doctors told me that I needed to rest more, but I could not find peace anywhere, neither in my new home nor in my thoughts. I began to wonder if there was any point in continuing to live like this. All my attempts to rebuild my life after betrayal turned out to be in vain. I no longer saw a future for myself, and this feeling weighed on me more and more every day. I felt that my soul no longer belonged to this world. One day I received a letter from Eliza. It was a short letter in which she wrote that she had found her happiness and wanted me to find peace as well. She wrote that she forgave me, but also added that our past cannot be brought back. Her words were like the final blow, painful but liberating at the same time. After that letter, I realized that I no longer have the right to keep her in my memories. She let me go, and I had to do the same. It was extremely difficult, but I knew it was the only way to find some comfort. I began to slowly release her from my heart, although it was with great pain. The process of letting go was long and exhausting. I spent hours thinking about our past together, trying to find answers to my questions. But every day I began to understand that there is no answer. There is only life that goes on, and I had to learn to live with this pain without letting it destroy me. As the weeks went by, I began to notice that the pain was slowly subsiding, though not completely gone. It was like the healing of a deep wound. The scar remained, but it no longer bled. I became calmer, spent more time alone, trying to find peace within myself. My soul was in tatters, but I realized that I was still alive, and that was the most important thing. I started going for walks in the forest, which was not far from my new house. Nature had a calming effect on me. The silence of the forest was different from the silence at home. Here she brought peace, not loneliness. I felt a connection with the world again, although this connection was still very fragile. One day, sitting by the lake, I remembered how Eliza and I loved to spend time in nature. These memories no longer caused the sharp pain I felt before. Instead, they brought warm nostalgia. I realized that the love we had was real even though it was over. I started a new journal, but this time, instead of focusing on the pain and loss, I tried to write down everything I was grateful for. It was hard in the beginning, but every day I found more and more things that gave me strength. These were small things: fresh air, birds singing, the smell of rain. But these little things became the foundation on which I built my new life. Eventually, I met new people in my town. They were simple, sincere people who did not know about my past and did not ask unnecessary questions. We became friends, and it helped me start opening up to the world again. I was still cautious, but I felt that maybe there was a chance to find my place in life again. One day I happened to meet an old friend from our past life. We talked about Eliza, about how she lives now. He told me that she was happy that she had found her way and had even started a new relationship. It was hard to hear, but I knew it was right. She deserved happiness, and I was glad she found it. This conversation gave me a new perspective. I realized that life goes on even if we don't want it to. We cannot stop time or change the past. The only thing left for us is to accept everything that happens and find ways to move on. It was a hard lesson, but I knew it was what I had to do. I decided to return to the work I had left earlier. It wasn't easy, but I knew it would help me reconnect with reality. My colleagues were happy to see me again, and although I felt like an outsider at first, over time I began to enjoy what I was doing again. Work helped me to distract myself from constant thoughts about the past. I immersed myself in projects, began to take on more responsibilities. It gave me a sense of control over my life that I was so lacking. I saw the results of my work and felt that I was doing something meaningful again. Over time, I began to notice that I began to think less about Eliza. She still held a special place in my heart, but it wasn't painful anymore. I realized that I had let her go, although the process was long and painful. I learned to live with it and even found some peace in this loss. One day, while I was walking through town, I was stopped by a woman who looked familiar. It turned out that it was a former colleague of Eliza. She said that she had seen her recently, and that Eliza seemed happy. We talked for a few minutes, and I realized that now I could discuss Eliza calmly without it causing pain. This meeting made me think about the fact that I myself am starting to change. I'm not the man I used to be. My life has changed, and although the journey has been extremely difficult, I have begun to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe it was a sign that I was ready for a new stage in my life. I started attending various events in my new town, trying to become a part of the community. It helped me make new friends and feel more included in my social life. I was no longer alone, even though I felt isolated at times, but it was a step forward. Once at one of the events, I met a woman named Sarah. She was interesting, intelligent, and we quickly found a common language. I felt that I could communicate with people again without being tormented by memories of the past. It was a new and strange feeling, but at the same time it was pleasant. We began to communicate more often, and I felt that a special connection was emerging between us. It was scary because I was afraid to open my heart again, but Sarah was patient and understanding. She took her time, giving me time to get used to the new state of affairs. Our relationship developed slowly but surely. Sarah knew I had been through hard times and never tried to pressure me. It allowed me to gradually open up, to trust again. She was a support to me, but I also felt that I had something special that I wanted to give back to her. Over time, I realized that Sarah helped me find what I had lost after breaking up with Eliza: faith in love and in myself. She helped me believe again that life can be beautiful, even after all the losses and disappointments. It was difficult, but I felt like I was alive again. Our relationship became more serious, and I began to think about the future. It was a new experience for me, because after breaking up with Eliza, I was sure that I would never be able to trust a woman again. But Sarah changed my mind about it. She showed me that love can be a second chance, not the end. I realized that I had to let go of the past completely in order to build a new future with Sarah. That didn't mean forgetting Eliza, but it meant accepting what was and moving on. I started talking to Sarah more about my feelings, and it helped me to strengthen our relationship even more. Ultimately, I decided I was ready for a fresh start. I took the first step by offering Sarah to move in with me. She agreed, and it was a new stage in my life. I knew that now I was on the right path, the path to a new happiness that I was ready to build together with her. Sarah's move was a moment I had been anticipating with some trepidation, but also with hope. When she brought her things into our home, I felt that it was finally being filled with life that had been so lacking before. All these empty walls, which reminded of loneliness, suddenly became warmer and cozier. Every day we learned to live together, to get to know each other more deeply. Sarah turned out to be not only a partner, but also a friend with whom I could share everything, from everyday trifles to the biggest secrets. She accepted me as I was, with all my flaws and the pain I still carried inside me. I began to notice Sarah making little gestures that made me feel special. She cooked my favorite breakfast, left notes with warm words, brought flowers for no particular reason. These were little things, but they made our days filled with warmth and love. One evening, as we sat together by the fireplace, Sarah asked me how I felt about her. The question caught me off guard, but I knew it was time to be honest. I told her about my fears, about how hard it was to open up again after what happened to Elisa. But I also admitted that now I feel something real and deep for her. Sarah listened to me attentively, and I could see the understanding in her eyes. She said she doesn't expect me to forget my past, but she hopes I can find a place for new happiness. Her words were like a balm for the soul. I felt that I could trust her completely and that our relationship really had a future. Our conversations became deeper and deeper. We shared our fears, dreams, and hopes. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could be vulnerable again without fear of being hurt again. Sarah was the light that helped me see that after darkness, there is always dawn. With each new day, I began to feel that life began to take on a new meaning. I felt stronger, ready for new challenges. Sarah became the support I was looking for so long, and although I still carried the scars of the past, I felt that I now had the strength to overcome them. We started planning our future together, discussing our dreams and goals. It was strange, because before I was afraid to even think about being happy again. But Sarah helped me realize that I deserve a second chance, and that it's okay to want to be loved again. We discussed the possibility of traveling, finding new adventures together. It was an exciting thought, to leave all the burdens of the past behind and just enjoy life together with the person who has become the most dear to me. I knew this journey would be an important part of our lives, and I was ready to begin it with Sarah. One day, while walking in the park, I suddenly realized how far I had come in my recovery. I no longer felt the weight that had previously pulled me back. The past was behind me, and although it was a part of me, I could now look forward with hope and confidence. Sarah suggested going to a place where we could spend time just the two of us, without daily worries and responsibilities. We chose a small house by the lake, away from the hustle and bustle of the city. It was the perfect place where we could be alone, enjoying the silence and each other's company. Staying in this house was like a new beginning. We spent our days exploring the surrounding nature, talking about everything in the world, and just enjoying being together. These were the moments when I felt that life was gaining color again, and that now I had everything I needed for true happiness. One evening, sitting by the lake, I realized that I had fallen in love with Sarah. This feeling came gradually, but now I knew it was real and deep. She became the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. I felt happy, if a little scared, that my heart was now open again. After returning from the trip, I decided to surprise Sarah. I knew she loved flowers, so I decided to decorate our home with her favorite plants. It was a small gesture, but I wanted to show her how much she meant to me. When she got home and saw this, her eyes lit up with happiness. Sarah hugged me, and I felt that this was the moment I could tell her about my feelings. I confessed to her that I loved her, and that she was the person who restored my faith in love and life. She looked at me with tenderness and then said that she loved me too. It was the happiest and most peaceful feeling I've had in a long time. Our relationship became even stronger after this confession. We began to plan our future together, discussing where we wanted to live, what we wanted to do, and how we would support each other no matter what. These were the moments that I cherished the most, because now I knew that I had found my true happiness. I started thinking about proposing to Sarah. It was a big decision, and I wanted everything to be perfect. I knew Sarah was the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, and I wanted her to know how much I loved her. I started planning how to propose. It was supposed to be something special, something she would remember for the rest of her life. I decided that I would do it in the same house by the lake where we spent that unforgettable time together. I knew this place had a special meaning for us. The day came when we returned to the lake house. I was nervous but confident in my decision. We spent the day together, enjoying the silence and beauty of nature. And in the evening, under the starry sky, I got down on one knee and proposed to her to be my wife. Oh, and smiled gently. I could see her trying to hold back the tears, but they were rolling down her cheeks. Her answer was simple, but it meant the world to me. She said yes, and it was the most beautiful word I have ever heard. We hugged, and in that moment I realized that all those years of pain, loss, and doubt were worth living through this moment. For the first time in a long time, I felt completely happy. I knew there were many challenges ahead, but with Sarah by my side, I was ready for any challenge. After returning home, we started planning our wedding. It was an exciting process, filled with joy and anticipation. Sarah took on most of the organizational issues, and I tried to help her in whatever way I could. We decided that our wedding would be small but intimate, with close friends and family. The days before the wedding were filled with excitement and anticipation. We were choosing a place where we would hold the ceremony, thinking about the decor and music. But the most important thing for us was that this day will be a reflection of our love, our path that we have traveled together. Finally, the day came when we became husband and wife. The ceremony was simple, but very touching. When I stood in front of her, I felt that all those years of pain and sadness were behind me. Now we had a future together, and we were ready to face it together. After the wedding, we went on a trip that we had been planning since our first meetings. This was our honeymoon, a time when we could enjoy each other's company, forget all our problems, and just be happy together. We visited places that we had dreamed of for a long time, and these days turned out to be some of the best of our lives. After returning home, we started our life together as a family. It was a new, unexplored, but such a welcome experience. We learned to live together, overcoming all the difficulties that appeared on our way. I felt that with Sarah, I had found what I had been looking for all my life: true, unconditional love. We made all decisions together, supported each other in any circumstances. Each day was a new page in our story, and I was grateful to be able to write it with Sarah. She became my support, my inspiration, and I couldn't imagine my life without her. One day, Sarah gave me the news that changed our lives forever. She said we are expecting a baby. I was stunned, but it was a pleasant shock. We were both happy and excited. It was a new phase in our lives, and we were looking forward to what it would bring. We started preparing for the birth of our baby. It was a time of hopes and plans for the future. We chose a name, thought about how to arrange a children's room. Every day was full of joyful anticipation and excitement. I felt that our life was taking on a new meaning. When our child was born, I realized that now my life has completely changed. The pain I once felt from loss and betrayal seemed distant and irrelevant. Now I had a new family, a new life, which I was ready to build with love and devotion. And even though the road to it was long and hard, I knew it was all worth it for those moments of happiness. The first months with our child were both the most difficult and the most beautiful in my life. Lack of sleep, constant worries, new responsibilities, all this was intertwined with an immeasurable feeling of love and joy. Each of her smiles, each new movement, all this filled my heart with new emotions that I could not imagine before. Sarah proved to be a wonderful mother. She was patient, gentle, and strong at the same time. I looked up to her with admiration and gratitude because she supported me even in those moments when I felt lost. She knew how to comfort me when I was tired and how to give me strength when it seemed like I had no more energy. Our life together became even stronger with the arrival of a child. We learned to support each other at a new level, overcome all difficulties together, and rejoice in small victories. I felt like our family was now complete, and it gave me a sense of completeness that I had so lacked before. We started spending more time at home, enjoying the simple things, having breakfast together, evening walks with the stroller, watching movies after the baby falls asleep. It was a completely different life, different from the one I led before, but it was real and filled with love. Over time, I began to notice how my attitude towards the past was changing. Before, I often remembered Eliza, our moments with her, and it brought pain. But now these memories became just a part of my life that I no longer wanted to forget. I realized that I had to learn to live with them without letting them affect my present. One evening when our baby was already asleep, Sarah looked at me and said she had never seen me so happy. Her words went straight to my heart. I realized she was right. Now that I had a new family, I felt fulfilled and content, even with the difficulties we were going through. I began to spend more time with the child, trying to be present in every important moment of his life. I wanted to be the father who would be there when she took her first steps, said her first words, went to school. It became my new priority, and I was ready to give anything for it. Every day, I admired Sarah more and more. She was a wonderful mother and wife, and I couldn't imagine how I would have coped without her. We became a real team that supported each other in everything. And although life was not always easy, I knew that with her by my side, I could overcome any difficulties. Our weekends were often spent in the family circle. We spent time together playing with the baby, discussing future plans, and just enjoying each other's company. Those were the moments when I felt that I had found my place in the world, my true happiness. One day, watching our baby play on the floor, I realized that all those years of searching, pain, and loss had brought me to this moment. And although the past left its traces, it was no longer a source of pain. I learned to live with it, and now I could fully enjoy what I had. Life went on, and Sarah and I learned to appreciate every moment. The arrival of our baby changed everything, and we were happy to see her grow and develop. It was a real miracle to watch her first successes and achievements. One day, when I was spending time with the child in the yard, Sarah approached us with a serious expression on her face. She said she had something important to talk about. I felt anxious, but tried to stay calm. Sarah told me that she had been offered an opportunity to work in another city. It was an important career offer, but she understood that it would affect our lives. We decided to discuss all possible options and decide how best to act. Together, we studied all the pros and cons of this decision. It was difficult to split our lives between the two cities, but we also knew that this could be an important step for Sarah's career. We decided that we would try to do it together if possible. We found a compromise, and Sarah went to a new city for a few days to see how it would be. I stayed home with our baby, and it was a trying time for us. We kept in touch through video calls and phone conversations, but I felt her absence in our daily routine. When she returned, Sarah talked about her new place of work and how she liked it there. She was excited about the prospects, but also understood that it would require effort from us. We decided that we would try our best to keep our family together. Life has become even more intense and dynamic. We regularly traveled between cities, trying to maintain a balance between career and family life. It was difficult, but we knew we were doing it for our future together. Our weekend was special because we wanted to make the most of every moment we had together. We visited new places, discovered new hobbies, and created memories that were kept in our hearts. Sarah and I have become even closer through our efforts to maintain family ties. We learned to understand each other better because every moment spent together became even more precious. Our relationship grew, and we learned to appreciate every day we could spend together. After several months of difficult time sharing between cities, we began to think about how to provide a more stable life for our family. We considered moving to a new city where Sarah could continue her career and I could find new opportunities for myself. We started preparing for the big move by planning the move. It was a phase of change, but we felt it would be right for us. I was sure that with all the difficulties we have gone through, we will be able to cope with this new challenge. Moving became a new stage in our lives. It was a time when we had to find our place again in a new environment, but we were ready for it. Our joint efforts helped us to adapt and find new opportunities for the development of our family. We started a new life in a new city, and although it was difficult, we felt that we had made the right choice. Our lives became more interesting, and we found new ways to enjoy each other and our family again. Over time, our relationship became even deeper. We learned to understand each other better and to treat each other's needs and wishes with respect. We continued to grow our family, teaching our little one to be open and kind, and this brought us great joy. Every day we became closer. Our family grew and developed, and we were grateful for all the moments we had together. We understood that there were still many challenges ahead, but with our love and support for each other, we could handle everything. Our new city has become a new home for us. We began to meet new people, make new friends, and discover all the opportunities this place had to offer. Sarah was happy with her work, and I found new interests and hobbies that helped me adapt to the changes. Our baby also quickly adapted to the new environment. We visited new parks, zoos, and playgrounds, which made her childhood bright and fun. Her smile and laughter became the most precious moments of happiness for us. Sometimes we reminisced about our old homes and places where we spent a lot of time. These were memories that brought nostalgia, but also allowed us to appreciate how far we had come. We knew that this was part of our journey and that we had been through many hardships together. Sarah and I have found new ways to keep romance in our lives. We organized evenings at home, played board games, and cooked our favorite meals together. These moments became important to us, and we cherished them more than ever before. Each year, our dynamic changed, and we became more mature. Our mutual understanding and support for each other became important foundations of our marriage. We learned to better understand each other's needs and to be able to adapt to changes. During one of the evenings, when we were sitting together and looking through old photos, Sarah came up to me and thanked me for always being there for me. Her words became a great confirmation for me that we have come a long way together and that our love has become even stronger. Our daughter grew and developed, and we rejoiced at her achievements together. Each new step and each new skill brought us great joy. We were proud of her and supported her in all her endeavors. Over time, we realized that the most valuable in our lives are the moments we spend together as a family. We not only learned to overcome difficulties, but also found ways to enjoy each day and each moment. During one of the trips, we went on a weekend to the mountains. It was an opportunity to rest and regain strength, as well as spend time together without unnecessary worries. We enjoyed nature, talked about our future, and were just happy in each other's company. We also began to pay more attention to the upbringing of our child. It was important for us to teach her to be a responsible, honest, and kind person. We knew these qualities were important for her future and tried to set the right example for her. Every day brought new challenges, but we always found the strength to overcome them together. We knew that every challenge we faced only made us stronger as a family. And even though it was hard at times, we always found ways to support each other. Over time, we began to think about how to ensure stability and security for our child in the future. We looked into investment and planning to give her the best life possible. This was an important issue that needed our attention. One day, when we were celebrating our wedding anniversary, Sarah came up to me and told me that she was happy that we had walked this path together. Her words confirmed for me that our efforts and love were worth it. We looked at each other with love and gratitude for all the years we spent together. We once again experienced moments of happiness and joy together. Our life was full of big and small victories that brought us pleasure and pride. We were grateful that we have each other and that we can build our future together. Sometimes when I think about my past, I feel grateful that I was able to change my life. I realized that despite all the difficulties and trials, I found true happiness and love. It was what I was always looking for, and now I could enjoy it to the fullest. We continued to grow as a family and as individuals. Our relationship grew even deeper, and we knew that together we could overcome any obstacle. We supported each other and were grateful for every moment spent together. Our weekend was filled with various events and activities. We loved spending time outdoors, attending various events, and just enjoying each other's company. It helped us maintain harmony and joy in our lives. Our daughter grew up and became more and more independent. We were proud of her achievements and rejoiced at her successes. It was a time when we began to see the results of our work as parents and could enjoy its success. We also started planning our future trips and vacations. We wanted to provide our family with even more opportunities to relax and enjoy together. It has become an important aspect of our lives for us. Our relationship became even stronger. We learned to better understand each other and support each other in any situation. It was the basis of our happiness and stability. We continued to work towards our goals and dreams while keeping our family as a priority. We knew that together we could achieve anything we wanted and that our lives would be filled with joy and happiness. Over time, our life has become even more intense and exciting. We found new interests and hobbies that helped us keep a positive attitude and enjoy every moment together. Our joint efforts and mutual support have helped us achieve many goals. We continued to work on ourselves and our future, maintaining love and respect for each other. Our family has become even stronger and happier. We continued to build our life together, enjoying every moment and supporting each other. It was what we were always looking for, and we were grateful for every day we spent together. And although our path was not easy, we knew that we went through everything together and that our happiness was the result of our efforts and love. We look to the future with hope and confidence, knowing that together we can overcome any obstacles and enjoy every moment of life. Several years passed, and we realized that our lives had become so full of happiness and love that even the most difficult moments now seemed insignificant. We learned to overcome difficulties together, and each new day brought us new joys. Our family ties have become even stronger. We spent more time together, discovering new hobbies and traveling to different places. It was a time when we could truly enjoy life and be grateful for having each other. Our daughter grew up and became a real beauty. She pleased us with her kindness and sincerity. We were proud of her and all the achievements she had. Her successes brought us great joy, and we supported her in everything she did. We often gathered at the same table for dinner and shared our thoughts, plans, and dreams. These moments became the most valuable for us because they were full of sincerity and love. We knew that our family is our greatest value. Our life was filled with travels and discoveries. We visited new countries, got to know new cultures and people. It broadened our horizons and gave us the opportunity to see the world in a new way. We were grateful for these opportunities and cherished every moment. With each new trip, we returned home with new impressions and memories. Our photos and videos from the trips became real treasures that reminded us of all the moments we experienced together. One evening, sitting on the balcony with a cup of tea, we discussed our future plans. We dreamed of continuing to travel and discover new places, but also understood that the most important thing is the time we spend together. We often reminisced about the times when life was more difficult and realized how far we had come. Our relationship became stronger, and our love became even deeper. We knew that together we can overcome any difficulties and achieve any goals. Over the years, we have also realized that we need to appreciate every moment of life more. We became more attentive to the little things and learned to enjoy even the simplest things. It brought us great pleasure and helped to maintain inner harmony. One day, when we were walking in the park, Sarah stopped and looked at me with a smile. She said that she never thought that our life would be so happy and filled with love. Her words touched my heart, and I realized that we really found our happiness. We continued to support each other in all endeavors and help overcome all difficulties. Our relationship became so strong that we felt like one. We knew that together we could handle anything and reach any heights. Our life has become a real example of how you can overcome all difficulties together. We became an example of a happy and strong family for our friends and relatives. They often asked us about our secrets and how we were able to maintain such love and harmony. We always answered that the most important thing is support and trust. We learned to listen and understand each other, to always be there when needed, and to support in everything. This has become our happiness formula that has worked for many years. Our life continued to be full of joy and satisfaction. We learned to appreciate every day and every moment spent together. Our happiness became our greatest treasure, which we kept with all care and love. We also began to pay more attention to our health and physical form. We started doing sports together, visiting the gym and actively spending time in nature. It became a new hobby that gave us energy and health. Our weekend has become even more active. We went for walks in the forest, rode bikes, and just enjoyed nature. It helped us keep harmony and feel young and energetic. We also began to devote more time to spiritual development. We practiced meditation, read books on self-development, and tried to improve our skills. It helped us maintain inner peace and harmony. Our relationship grew deeper every day. We understood each other from half a word and always supported each other in any situation. It was the love that we were looking for and that we were able to find and keep. We often looked back on our early years together and wondered how we managed to get through all the hardships and trials. It was a real miracle, and we were grateful for everything we had. Our life became the best we could have imagined. One day, sitting together on the sofa and watching old family videos, we realized that the most important thing is our shared memories and moments. We were grateful for every moment we spent together and knew that these memories would stay with us forever. Our friends and relatives continued to admire our relationship. They saw how we support each other and how our love strengthens us. This was the best proof that we were on the right path. Over time, we began to think more about how we can help other couples to preserve their love and harmony. We began to share our knowledge and experience to support those who were going through difficulties in relationships. We also started organizing meetings with friends where we shared our thoughts and ideas about maintaining a happy relationship. It became an important part of our lives, and we were happy to be able to help others find their happiness. Our meetings became popular, and more couples joined us. We have seen people change their lives thanks to our advice and support. It brought us great pleasure and joy. We also continued to work on ourselves and our relationship. We knew that we needed to constantly improve and work on ourselves in order to keep the happiness that we have. This was important to us, and we did our best to keep our relationship strong and harmonious. Our relationship became so deep and strong that we felt like one. We knew that together we could overcome any difficulties and reach any heights. This was our happiness, which we kept with all love and care. We also continued to enjoy our travels and new discoveries. Each new country, each new city brought us new impressions and memories. We were grateful for all these opportunities and cherished every moment. Our life was full of joy and love. We learned to appreciate every moment and enjoy the simple things. It was the best we could do, and we were grateful for all we had. And although our path was not easy, we knew that together we were able to overcome all difficulties and achieve true happiness. We were grateful for every day spent together, and knew that our future would be full of love and harmony. Our relationship has become even stronger and deeper. We knew that together we could cope with any challenges and achieve any goals. It was our shared happiness, which we kept with all care and love, knowing that together we can overcome anything.